So the Nuneaton journey does end,
Yeah.
and you move to Solihull in the summer of 2015. Join up with Marcus Bignot, obviously big name in not only football and now assistant manager at Swindon actually.
Yep.
How did that move come about?
So I went to meet Tamworth first on the M40 at Hotwood, and I met up
services.
with I met up with Andy Morrell.
Yeah,
and
I've had Andy on.
Yeah, what a guy.
Yeah, really good guy. Actually, very very good player. He destroyed us when he was at Wrexham. Beat us 6-1. It was like the Red Arrows, mate. Yeah. I met up with him and Mike Fowler actually. And do you know what? I went away, like still my Nuneaton head, like my loyalties to Nuneaton. I went away and went, I can't sign for Tamworth. Like genuinely, that's what I took away. Like the money that they offered me in Solihull was literally exactly the same. So it was exactly the same deal. I knew a lot of the lads from Solihull. I had a lot of the lads in my ear going, well, come here and stuff. And I almost was a little bit like, do I kind of just want to be a sheep and follow the crowd? And like, yeah, I went there and I just sort of said to Andy, like, I can't sign for Tamworth. Just, I couldn't. Like, so I went to Solihull, met Marcus. Like I said, he offered us, I got exactly the same deal that I was at Nuneaton, that I finished Nuneaton on, which I was happy with that. And yeah, I got in the shape of my life. I remember going to pre-season and just being like, I felt incredible. Like, I didn't have an ounce of body fat on me. I'd put in so much, and it probably took me a little bit out of my like comfort zone going there. And then when you look at the signings they were making, they brought the core group of Nuneaton with them, which I knew how good they were. We signed the sort of like creme de la creme from Kidderminster, 3 or 4 players like your Danny Lewis's and your Jack Burns and your Callum Gittins. And then they retained, because people forget when we went to Solihull were always top at Christmas. Yeah. So Ryan Beswick's, Liam Daly's and Darryl Knight's, they were always at top, and then they just seemed to just like nosedive. So I think a large part of it was when I went into the group and I got to know their personalities, phenomenal football players, but they lacked a little bit of like, hold on, relax. So we'd lose a game and we'd never lose a game. We'd always win the next one. And that was kind of what the Nuneaton group bought into that Solihull group. They were real, like Darryl Knights is one of the most talented players that I've ever played with. Ryan Beswick can dictate a game of football. Michael Nottingham obviously has gone on to have a real good football league career at Accrington Stanley's up in Scotland now. We had a Kwasi Asante. And then, like I said, you had the Kidderminster boys, and I think the Kidderminster and Nuneaton boys just strengthened the mentality of the group. And I know we lost 6-0 away at Harrogate in the year that we won the league, which I don't think you can ever say there's many teams that have won the league and lost 6-0 in the same time. I'll never forget that Marcus just went, like, you're thinking you're going to get undressed here, like you're going to get an absolute mouthful. And he went, yeah, get changed. He went, that'll never happen again.
Class that.
And everyone just sort of went, and it just kept that kind of like no panic culture. Like
definitely.
You see teams that are at the top of a table and it starts to sort of teams to catch them and teams are going on runs and chasing them down and that sense of nervousness. And the game after, I think we played like FC United of Manchester or someone like that on a Tuesday night, literally straight after, and we went and won at home. And then we went on like a train again, and yeah, he had a real good group. Marcus has got that like healthy arrogance. So when you listen to him, some people will perceive him as arrogant, but within the group, he backs everything that he says, which I think your playing group looks at that and goes, well, we're going to buy into this because everything that he says, he's like bang at it. He believes everything that he says is going to come into like fruition. So we had a playing group that were just like beady eyes all the time, like. And then it was different. Like we used to train on different days. So we used to train Tuesday, Wednesdays because he wanted sessions to be more intense. So normally semi-professionals Tuesday, Thursday. And the Wednesdays would always be on the main pitch, and we'd do 3 20-minute games, 11v11, loads of tactical stuff, loads of like,
shadow
and then you'd
playing,
have like a bit of a, he had this, I don't know what he used to call it, but it's like a bit of a jolly up game. Like the goals were really tight together. Everything was just shots. But he was brilliant, like Marcus. I got on really well with him, and really enjoyed my year when I was at Solihull.
Well, I think you would have enjoyed it. You won promotion with Solihull to get them back into the National League. Your biggest step up there as a player going into the National League, would you say?
As in what? When I won with Solihull?
Yeah.
Well, I left, didn't I? After, so I mean, I had a great year at Solihull. and everyone thought I was mad. But as soon as I got promoted, I actually left. So I went straight. I got a phone call from the gaffer, Kev at Brackley, and went to Brackley the year after for various reasons, which I didn't really want to leave Solihull, but I left for reasons.
Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to get onto.
It's actually the most like petulant, ridiculous story ever. So honestly,
I love these stories.
So we got promoted, and like Marcus had said, I turned up for a game. Like I think we won the league when we weren't playing.
Yeah, you were
training or
training,
something.
Yeah, because didn't someone open the bar or something like that?
Well, we're already there. Like we're at training. Yeah. They open the bar, and Dale's is helping himself to whatever. Like, no one tells him what to do. And yeah, so, which was a little bit like underwhelming actually. But anyway, like I remember turning up for the next game, and you're still in your little bit of a celebrating mode. And Mark was like, "Oh, you're not playing today?" And I was like, "What?" He was like, "No, I'm going to rest like my assets." Like he's like, "I want to retain you." So he's like, "Go enjoy yourself. Go have a Copperberg." So for the next like 2-3 games, I think we won the game with 4 to go. I was like up above with a Copperberg watching the lads who hadn't played all season play, and then I think I played in the last game. But at the time, I knew I basically arranged. So Marcus was like, "I want to do something like an end of season celebration. Can you sort something?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I knew people out in Marbella who could sort some really good events out and stuff like that. So I got in contact with these people, and I managed to sort like a Friday and a Saturday, and it was 2 events per day. So it was like 400 quid, so £100 per event. And more people were coming, like we were getting like the photographer's dog was coming on the trip and all this stuff. So we ended up having 30 people come on the trip. I'm not joking, there was like people you'd never seen before, like scouts, like ex-bloody missus who's like coming and whatever. So I was like, right, fine. So I was like, right, lads, it's £3,000 minimum spend on all these events. So it's £100 each. And I remember the first day I went to like Sisu Boutique, and we got there and they were like, "Oh, we've given you like an upgraded area." So we had this like L shape at the bottom of Sisu Boutique with our own like little pool area. And it was like the lads, as soon as they got in there, you could just see be like proper excited, and they all went way too hard. And I was like, they ain't making it out tonight. So anyway, the lads who did make it out, we went to like News Cafe on the Friday night, and obviously there's a table for 30 or 2 tables for 30 people. There was 11 people, but there's a minimum spend. So I've had to pay like the minimum spend on all these tables. Right. And each event was kind of following the same theme. And some of the lads would pay you back. Like you've got like your tried and trusted people, like your Andy Browns and your Gav Cowans, stuff like that. Literally like, here's 100 quid. Like, sorry, I like was plastered. But I ended up coming back from the trip, and I weren't hundreds of pounds down. I was thousands of pounds down from this trip that I'd organised as like a nice kind of like celebratory thing. And I remember I went back to Solihull, and I was just like, oh, well, I've kind of like lost all this money. Like, and half the people on the trip like weren't players. They were like friends of like you, stat. And they basically just called me naive. And honestly, I was thousands of pounds down from this thing. And they were like, yeah, you were naive to book it. So that's one of the reasons that I left Solihull. Wow. Because, and another thing, they basically said like, no negotiations. We're going to just give across the board a pay rise. So you're all getting a £25 thing. So someone that had played like one game was getting the same pay rise as someone who was like player of the year, getting like Michael Nottingham was player of the year, like unbelievable. He played 46 games, never been injured, every minute of every game, scored like 10 goals from right wing back, and he was getting the same pay rise as him over here who'd played one game, which I disagreed with. And yeah, I was frustrated, and I'm a man of like principle. So for me, I left that thing more for the celebratory thing. Like I've done something like as a good thing, like for us to enjoy. And your stance has just been like, oh, well, you're naive. Like, so you're just gonna have to live with like the thousands of pounds that you've lost trying to like let people enjoy something which could be like a once in a lifetime memory for people to share.
You haven't got promoted since.
No. And that's exactly it. Like some people don't ever get that experience, like to win a league.
Were you not licking your lips though, Gaz, at the thought of step one?
I was.
Well, you did have some step one experience at Nuneaton, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Like, so we spent 3 years in step one, and I wanted to go back there. Like, I think people think, oh, like you don't actually want to go and play the level. I did. I wanted to stay, but like I said, I'm a man of like kind of like principles, and for me to like go and work with, you know, like people that would physically be comfortable like sitting there allowing you to do that and be that amount of money out of pocket. Like I said, it's a very petulant kind of like story really, but like I said, like I got a phone call off the gaffer again at Brackley, and like my closest pal is Adam Walker, like in and outside of football, and Jimmy's one of my closest friends as well, and I knew they were both going there, and that's kind of why I moved to Brackley. So such a petulant story.
You weren't too bothered
But
about...
stick by your morals.
Go on, mate.
I was going to say, you stick by your morals though. Stick by your... Stick by your...
So, Gaz, how do you stay motivated and maintain your performance levels throughout the season? What gets you ticking over, do you think?
I'm religious with like gym.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a personal pride thing for me. And I always think that's like where mine and like Jimmy's relationship's so funny, because like he is literally like a melted wheelie bin when he takes his clothes off. Like
opposite, isn't it? So opposite.
Yeah, but it's almost like a jealousy thing for me, I'd say, because he's so talented.
Yeah.
And I have to work so hard in terms of like my biggest attribute is like my physicality.
Yeah.
Like I want to like lean on people and feel them, and I want them to feel me and be like, do you know what I mean? And with him, he's been able to like have a career when he's been like an alley cat, you know what I mean, like a stray dog body. And then now he looks like a dropped trifle sort of thing, and you're like, he's between the two. There's never been any kind of like elite athlete, but he sustains himself at the level, and he's been incredible at the level for many years. And with me, I'm very different. I know that my like physicality is so important, so it's like a non-negotiable. So to stay motivated, if I want to carry on playing, I can't not be physically like athletic and feel strong and thing, because it's just such a huge part of my game, and without it I wouldn't be the player that I am.
Well, exactly, it pays dividends, doesn't it? Because the question that we asked at the very start, where I said, how the fucking hell have you done it so long, it's probably one of the main factors really, isn't it, that you look after yourself so well, I think. Yeah,
like, and even obviously like I've been quite lucky, like touch wood, with like injuries, like I said at the start, but when I had the severe one at Brackley, you know, with the quad tear that I had, like it was a grade 3, 4.5 centimetre tear that went through the entire depth of like my rec fem tissue, like, and I'll never forget getting the scan results and being like, I'm 33, like, that's bad. And like, I remember like Roger Johnson look at me and goes like, that's hard to do. Like I've been in football for a lot, and when people like, you know, Stephen Ward and Roger Johnson, Kev Foley are going like, that's really hard to do that. And genuinely, when I did it, it was like someone had put like a shotgun against my thigh and just shot me. Like, it was horrific. And I paid myself actually to go see a surgeon over Solihull direction. So I went for the scan, got the results, and then I went to see a surgeon to see if it needed operating on, and they were like, we can operate on it, but to be fair, we're just going to leave you like a horrendous fat scar with no guarantees that it will be any better than kind of like conservative rehab. And like my mentality was just like, no, I'm not having that. Like, and I went and I paid £600 for a new piece of like, because I built like a home gym in the garage at home, and I went and bought like this piece of kit which was rebuild my quad. So I went and bought myself my own piece of kit, and then I went and bought a plan off a strength and conditioning coach who's one of my clients actually, who was at Plymouth and now at Stoke, and he basically just gave me like a bespoke plan to rebuild my lower half. And I came back that pre-season, like last year, I'd say one of my proudest achievements is that I played last year, 43, 44 games after a grade 3 quad tear. And I just, at the age of 34, and that was all for me. Like, obviously there's a physical element of it, but it was just non-negotiable. Like, I've rebuilt my body. I trained more than I'd ever trained. I trained my legs twice a week, and I was stronger than I've ever been when I came back at the age of 34.
Never felt it again since?
Oh, I don't know. Like, when I first came back, I came back for like a pre-season.
Yeah.
So the gaffers like said, like, I want you to come in, like, see the medical team. And I obviously I did it at high speed running, so like sprint is like hip to lip, and you do like I'd done like a treadmill run where you're barely lifting your feet off the floor, so like nothing in that kind of thing. And I opened out and I could feel this like crunching kind of like feeling. And I left that session really deflated because I was by myself. I come in early and we came back and we did like an 11v11 2 weeks after. And I never forget, like Morgan Roberts and Jordan Crawford have both spun and ran into the channel. I'd given myself like 5-6 yards, so I was on the move already. And I thought, I'm going to have to sprint here. And I just did it. I just went, like, I either sprint or I don't sprint. And I sprinted and nothing happened. And I straight away for me then, my confidence was back then. Like I'd left 2 weeks before and I was like, fucking hell, I'm done here. I'm never going to play football again at this level of football. And I ain't a sort of person who'll be like, I've signed a deal, I'm going to sit on my money and be like, I would have literally just gone to the gaffer there and then going like, I don't want to waste a budget. I don't want to take like another player's like, or my playing group's like opportunity to like go and like attack the title or try to get promoted. And yeah, I sprinted after the ball, nothing happened, and then like you get niggles now, like as an older player or ageing player. So I did have little niggles in that, but like quad related, I had nothing.
Let's go on to Brackley then. We're going Davo's quiz time.
Quiz time with Davo.
Oh.
I messaged you prior to this, didn't I? And I said, I hope
yeah, but you didn't give me the questions, mate.
No, of course not. Let me wet my whistle before we start this. No looking at the answers, please, Gaz. So, Brackley Town. How long would you have said that how long have you been at Brackley for?
I want to say this is my 9th season.
Okay, so you need to get all these right now. You said to me, and I'm going to say this, because off air he said to me, if I get 2 out of 8, I'll be happy. You need to be getting more.
This is your 9th season you're going into.
Yeah. So
that doesn't make the memory any better.
I'll just confirm in saying you're correct.
So I've just got 8 questions here, Gaz.
Go on, mate.
Let's see how you get on, mate. See how much you know about Brackley before we get into your playing career. In what year were Brackley Town established?
Oh, mate. 1930?
Incorrect. It's 1980. Here we go then.
1980, really?
Yeah. So this is these ones are more easy for you now. In 2017-18 season, Brackley won the FA Trophy, which I'm sure we'll get onto later, beating Bromley 5-4 on penalties in the final. Who were the 6 penalty takers in order?
Oh, mate, I don't know the answer to that.
Come on.
Shane.
Correct.
I'm trying to work backwards here. Who else took penalties? Can I work backwards a little bit?
In your head, but you've got to give it me in order. Shane is the first one, you're correct.
Oh, he weren't on the pitch. Digging?
Is in there.
Was he third?
Third.
Jimmy
Glenn Walker?
Is in there.
Is he fourth? Or second?
Fifth.
No. Jimmy?
Correct.
Is Jimmy second?
No.
Say Jimmy wants glory, mate. He don't go second.
No.
Oh, that's second. So what am I missing?
Second and last. Last is easy, isn't it?
Yeah, Brownie got the last.
So you're just missing your second.
Who took the second penalty? Let me work through the team here a little bit.
So, Byrne, then you're missing one. Diggin, Armson, Walker, Brown. You're missing second.
Oh, I'm going to insult someone here, ain't I? A penalty at Wembley and I can't remember. That's a I'll tell you it weren't me. It wasn't you, I was on the pitch and I was a 13th taker. I don't know the answer.
Williams.
Oh, Willow take one, yeah.
Yeah. Next one. That season you also finished third in the National League North and reached the playoff final after defeating Bradford Park Avenue 1-0 in the semi-finals. Who scored that goal?
In the semi-finals?
Against Bradford Park Avenue. He's one of the 5 penalty takers, or 6 penalty takers.
It weren't Jimmy.
No.
You'd be talking about it.
No.
Was it Willow?
It was. Well done. You played over 40 games for Brackley the season just gone. But how many yellow cards did you pick up, Gaz?
A lot.
How many?
Is it 11?
Correct. Well done.
Are we on 2 correct so far?
Do you know what?
3.
I got genuinely with the new legislations and rules and that, I think it's a bit of a problem with the club actually, because you're not allowed to talk to the referees anymore.
No, you're not, mate. You're not.
Not even allowed to go.
And that must be hard coming from where you've been.
Yeah.
I genuinely like run at them, like foaming at the mouth, and then try to slam my brakes on. But yeah, I don't know.
Well done. Just a couple more, mate. How many clean sheets did Brackley Town get last season in the league, not including the playoffs?
18, 19?
13.
Oh.
Oh, that's a crap year, isn't it?
In the 17-18 season, you played Harrogate Town in the playoff final, losing 3-0. But who was your fellow centre-half that game?
Gudge.
Correct.
Ja.
2 more. New Year's Day game, you played Banbury in a 3-1 win. Which player scored a hat-trick in that game?
Connor Rule.
Correct.
What a guy.
You've got it now.
And his brother's just signed for Newcastle.
He has,
Connor,
yes.
He's just signed permanently for Brackley as well. Connor Hall.
Yeah, he has. And
Both
last
finished.
question. Danny Newton finished top goal scorer this season, but how many goals did he score?
Oh, I don't think he got 20. 18.
One off.
19.
Ah.
And for a bonus point, where on the leaderboard did he finish in goal scorers?
What, him?
Out of the whole league, where did he finish?
I know Blackett was top.
Correct.
4th.
One off again. Third.
Ah.
How many was that, Cookie?
I don't know.
Weren't
3
bad
or 4.
though.
You did all right.
In around it.
You did better than you
Willow
said
won't
you would.
talk to me again now.
I would say you got about 5 out of 8, I reckon.
Yeah, 4, 5 out of 8. We'll have to listen back to
we'll
it
have
and
to listen
confirm
back
it.
and
I'll
confirm
take
that.
that.
Fair play, mate.
Well done, mate. Superb.
Fair play.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. So you do leave, obviously, Solihull. You mentioned, obviously, you spoke to Brackley and the gaffer quite swiftly after. Obviously, a new club you've never been before. How was the feelings going into Brackley?
I remember the conversation I had with the gaffer, and he literally said to me, "Don't want to talk money. I need you to come and sort my change room out." So the year that we got there, like they were getting like he's massive on changing room. So like he won't recruit someone or bring someone into a group that he thinks is kind of like a bit of a problem or whatever. So we got there, and he was just like, so we just kind of like created rules where we were like, lads would have to stay till a certain time and not just get the bag and dip off even if you hadn't played and stuff like that. And it just created this culture. And that first year was like, we had some great lads. I would used to do like a lot of stupid like fancy dress nights out and like charity shop nights out where you have to dress someone for like including shoes for like less than a tenner. And we did that constantly. So it was kind of like that Nuneaton vibe, really, but just different people. And we kind of walked in there quite loud and proud, like the likes of me and James, which I remember Glenn Walker said to me, and I love Glenn, like we get on really, really well. And he was like, yeah, when you first came, like I weren't sure about you. And then like he openly said this to me, and he was just like, I was like, why? And he was just like, because you were so like loud. And he was like, I didn't know what to make, but then obviously get to know you as a person and you see like the reasons you're doing it and stuff like that. And the club's ran amazingly, which is why I've stayed there for so long. Like it's ran in a real good way, like in terms of it's got like a real sort of like systematic kind of like approach with different people, the volunteers and stuff. It's growing. It feels like when you're there, and you've been there for as long as I have, you still can feel that kind of like organic growth of the club and stuff, which I think they're brilliant at. And, you know, when I do hang up my football boots, I do hope that I can hang them up and finish my sort of like chapter at that football club, because I think it'll be difficult for me to go somewhere else after being at that club for so long. And the honest answer is I've never entertained a phone call from anyone else in the near, decade that I've been there.
It's incredible, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Is the fact that it was Kev Wilkin on the other end of the phone, did that
reassure
you a bit more?
I don't think, like my initial like loyalty was the gaffer. The reason I went to Brackley wasn't Brackley, it was because the gaffer called me. And I know what he is, I know what he's like, and ultimately like I owe a lot of my career to that man. I love him to pieces, like, and I don't think there's many football players that have a relationship with a manager like we've had. Because he'll always say to me when he's had a drink at Cheltenham, like, I owe so much of my career to you. And I'm like, well, hold on a second, like, I'm saying the same thing to you. And that's kind of like that mutual respect, really. And Um,
Do you still give you bollockings though, Gaz? As and when?
Yeah, I know Jimmy said it on the podcast. He got it wrong, actually. It weren't Stalybridge, it was Salisbury that I headed the ball back to. Yeah, like, it was bad. But yeah, like, he used to get into you and he was demanding of you. It weren't like all like lovey-dovey all the time. Like, you'd go in there before training, his little cabin, you'd have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and be chatting away about it. Like, he's mad into his gardening and his horses and stuff like that. And his dogs, and so we had like a lot in common and stuff. But yeah, like, but everything was personal with him. Like, if you ever felt like you were on a bad run of games and his job was like a little bit kind of, every manager will go through a phase where they're like, "Is my job safe?" and stuff. It was like, lads, you need to fucking win.
Yeah.
Like, because Gaffer's saying that, like, he feels a bit nervous about his job, and like, it was really personal to me, our relationship, and he's just an incredible human being as well as a manager, and like, I can't speak highly enough of him, and that's why lads who've been away from him want to come back to him.
I can see that. Like, a lot of people we spoke to have that.
I mean, I'm sure he's got people on his list who are like, "Nah, I think he's an idiot," or stuff.
We've
because
not encountered one yet.
No.
But he, you know, like I said to you earlier, like, he's rubbish on his phone. So he's not someone who's going to make you feel loved by texting you every single like 2 minutes going like, "I want you to come sign for me." That's not the sort of person he is. But when you're with him, like, he treats you like a human being. So if you've got personal stuff going on, like, he'll talk to you about stuff like that. And he's just a very personable manager. And I think that's why he gets that kind of, like, he's very demanding of, he loves me because of my physical attributes. He's like, he's strong. He loves the fact that you look after yourself. Like, he'll be looking at your legs going, like, he loves that side of football. And if you look at his teams, all of them are physically, like, incredible. Like, I look at, like, some of our teams at Brackley, like Matt Lowe, a freak of nature. Like, he literally would run until, like, you can't stop him. I did a pre-season before he went to Accrington, and he's like, we were doing this run thing, and it was up this hill and round, and I'm like flat on my back. He's like, "I'm gonna go do another one," and like, he just would go and go. You got like Lee Enlove, and people talk about me and say like, "Oh." One of my biggest strengths, I would say, is I haven't met many people that work harder than me in terms of like life, education, football, physicality, like gym, all that. Lee Enlove is the one person that I would sit here now and say he is physically, like, looks like he's been carved from the gods. Like, he is just incredible. We had like him, Lowy, like Shetmore and Bedsy, like a robot.
Do you know, when I come and watch previous games, I never rated Shep. It's probably me just being silly, but that game where I come and watched with Cookie against Tamworth, he was fucking outstanding.
Do you know what?
He's a horrible bastard, isn't he?
Yeah, like, you can't describe it. Like he... Because I always think that, like, how do you inspire someone like him? Like, on a pitch, like, how do you get something out of him? And like, that's why you have to set your standards so high, because he's literally like a 9 out of 10 in what he does. He's not for everyone, because he's not going to be someone who's going to like dictate a game of football overly and be spraying diagonal passes. But in terms of he's intimidating. Like, centre midfielders, you can see him in the tunnel already thinking like, he's going to like put his finger in my eye and pinch my, like, put his fingers up my nose and like hook me and put his fingers in my mouth, and he's going to scratch me and bite me and kick me. And he does it from minute 1 to the last minute. And the list just goes on and on and on and on and on, really. And that's like, going back to Kev, he was just like, or the gaffer, he was just, that was his playing group. Like, it was non-negotiable.
What are some of the standout moments, though, or highlights from your time at Brackley?
On the pitch.
On and off the pitch.
Well, I know you spoke a lot about like the car share and stuff like that, some of our memories there, and like nights out we've had are just like incredible. Like, I look at mine and me and James, obviously our relationship now has just ended in terms of football. In like 20 years is like,
it's mad, isn't it?
Mental. And some of our fondest memories, like, we've got memories on a football pitch we can share, but like, you know, I was blessed as well to play for large parts of my career with my best mate Adam Walker as well. I think like 2 of my closest pals that I've been able to play on a pitch with. But yeah, loads of nights out, loads of like, we go to Dublin for Christmas dues, like we've gone abroad and stuff like that. Obviously, like, the FA Trophy is the main the main one. And that whole weekend was just incredible. Like we went to London Colney, Arsenal's training ground the day before. Did a training session there, did like a tour of the stadium, and then when you get there and stuff like that, it's just...
Do you remember a lot from the game?
No, like, do you know what? Everyone always says to me, like, did you feel nervous? I felt more nervous of, like, other people than myself. And I'm always a little bit like that. I always like, you know, like if the warm-up's a little bit flat, which you've been involved in sort of things, sometimes like people are just not talking, it's quiet and stuff like that. No, I remember when we won and walking up the steps was probably by myself, because obviously I was the last one walking up the steps, and that was the one time where you actually got to go like, no, like what have we just done? But yeah, like the game itself, everyone talks about like the penalties and the goals and like stuff like that, but my like lasting memory of the game is that I made a tackle at 1-0 where me and Goodger were a little bit flat to each other, and the striker was a guy called Brandon Hanlon, quick, and I was literally like head down, not even staring at the ball, just sprinting as fast as I could, and I made this tackle, which for me, if I don't make the tackle, we lose the game. And probably I would say arguably is the best tackle that I've made in terms of like the magnitude of it in what a 15 plus year football career in front of like 35,000 fans really. And that's something that, you know, I know all the other stuff and like penalties and all that, like that's what I took from that game. It was an incredible day.
There's always the debacle as well when we get someone from Brackley on, isn't there, about, I always forget who it is, but is it the goal? Was it like a bit of a mix-up? Was it you or was it Gudge?
Me. Do you know what?
I
always think, like, why do people care so much? Like, people think I didn't touch the ball because I didn't.
What, so you're admitting that you didn't?
Nah.
Well, why do all the other lads say that you say that you did?
Because I do, for banter.
Right, okay.
Like,
Someone
you
has
walk
to
around
take
and you
the
go,
blame,
anyone else scored a FA Trophy winning goal at Wembley?
So who did it come off?
Do you know what I always say? If I don't make the run, have you seen my movement in the box? I'm like a fox in the box. Genuinely, if I don't make the run, the goal don't happen. Roger Johnson clears it. And I spoke to Roger, obviously, when he came in. I'm like, you don't want that on your record, do you? And he's like, no.
So it was his own goal?
So I'll take it. No, it's my goal.
I love it.
Roger gave it to me.
I love it.
What a nice gift. What a nice gift. Well, it doesn't matter, you won it.
Yeah, exactly that, mate.
Doesn't matter.
Everything that you were going to play at Wembley in your life, though, Gaz, honestly.
Nah. That run, just in general, was crazy.
Yeah,
obviously.
that's about it, yeah.
So
Crazy.
you got like, I think we had like, 3 or 4 replays and 11 games in total. It was mental. And do you know what? The game itself, I almost sometimes think to myself, like, did we use that much luck in that game? That's why we've been so unlucky, or like not got over the line in the playoff campaigns, because you sort of like used up so much of your luck. Because we were lucky, like we played well and we missed chances and stuff like that, and I felt like we were the better team in certain phases of the game, but there were certain moments where they could have took the game away from us and they didn't. So you got to rise it up. But nah, mate, like world's scruffiest footballer who like heads the back of people's heads and kicks the turf further than the football, gets to like captain a team at Wembley in front of 35,000 people.
Can
like,
say that, mate.
And that's one of the reasons we all wanted you on there so much to your story. Fucking hell. Always one thing missing at Brackley is a promotion win.
Yeah.
So close on many times to get into the National League, but always falling short. How frustrating has that been?
Mate, this year I was heartbroken.
Yeah, I was heartbroken for you, to be fair. I thought this is the year.
And you felt it both sides as well, haven't you, really? Because obviously you had that little stint in charge as well.
Yeah, like the games are I never feel like there's much in them. Like when we played Harrogate, we were just completely outclassed, and they were such a good team that year. Like they went toe to toe with Salford, and you look at like their rise, they literally went into the National League with the same playing group, and they just flew up the divisions. They were just too good for the level, and we were outclassed on the day. But other games are just defined by like moments. Like we were in complete control this year. I felt like they started all right, and we obviously got the goal, and I felt like we should have got a second. and then it's a lax bit of concentration and a very scruffy second phase of a long throw in, which is just concentration, like someone's not latched onto a man at the edge of the box. And then we just didn't get out of like first gear in the second half, like whether that's, you know, just because you're deflated from how the first half sort of like ended. But mate, it's so painful because you at the end of the day, I think people just assume that Brackley are going to be there or thereabouts every single year. But at the same time, I always think like we are mentally so resilient. Like we've lost so many good players that I could literally name a team now and you'd go, fucking hell, like how good are all of them? Like we've lost like Lee Enlove, Matt Lowe, we lost Shane Byrne for a period of time, Louis Lomas, Connor Hall, Ethan Coleman. Like these are like Football League players. Like, and we've had to replace them and keep the expectation of getting into the playoffs or trying to go for the title.
But you've always done that.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. And that's fair play to the club in terms of like recruitment and the management team and stuff like that. But equally, the players that have been there like for the years that have been there, like going back to like Shetmore and Bedsy, Shane left, and Shane was kind of like our marquee player. Like he was a top boy in terms of like he dictated the games, and like probably I would say, if you spoke to opposition managers, they would say he was the best player in terms of his position, and we lost him. And Shep came out the shadows, and now like if you said to me like who's the best player you've played with in terms of like recent years, he'd be top of the pile. Because I'm like an old romantic in terms, I'm not someone who wants someone like who's going to dribble around us. If I like the doggy side of it and like but it's been tough, but then we always come back, and that's I think a sign of strength. And I just think I always say to myself like you can delay the inevitable but you can't stop it. It's kind of like what I say to myself every year, and I think if we keep putting ourselves there or thereabouts, it might take you like longer than you wanted, but you keep doing it, eventually it will happen.
Yeah, definitely,
absolutely. Let's talk about your time then as the interim manager at Brackley. I imagine that you never thought that was going to happen so soon. But you were out injured and Roger Johnson was sacked, unfortunately. You stepped in and take charge until the end of the season. Describe that time and how you sort of dealt with that, and you know what was thoughts coming into your mind. What was going on there?
So I got a phone call off Ollie, the chairman, before it had been like publicly released. And I can't, you knew, like the you know, Gaffer had come back with Telford and beaten Roger, and the fans were already not happy. So you knew like the club were under mass pressure to make a decision. And then really, I think the club's position was, well, we kind of like wrote off the playing group. I don't think they really like believed that we were good enough to get promoted as a group or even make the playoffs with the run that we were on. So whether it was a cost thing, I don't know, because they paid us no extra to do it, or and I kind of had a decision to make, really, I suppose, because I was out injured for a long time. I knew I wasn't going to play again that year, and my personality was just very much like I wanted to still be involved, like not just like a silent cheerleader in the background.
Like
and
you said, you can't sit. You probably find it hard to sit back.
I hate watching football. I hate watching football. I don't know how people watch football. It's so yeah, I said yeah, and then they were like, "Who do you want to help you?" And I knew if I didn't take it, that they would have given it to someone else internally. And I didn't feel like anyone else was better placed than me to get a reaction out of the lads. So like Adam Rooney, Martin Woods. I knew that they would have asked those guys, the more experienced pro, but I felt like I was the one who could have got a reaction out of the group, because there was that kind of like emotive, like emotional side to it. And really, I asked Jimmy to help. I ain't told him yet, but the only reason I did that is because it would have just been awkward when I left him out of the squad. Just told him. So Jim was out injured as well, and like he was amazing, like helped me, and we closed the change room door, and I said to the lads, like, I don't want to be called Gaffer. I don't want anyone to change. I said, I'm not going to change. Like, you see me when I play football, I'm serious, but you also see me like in the change room environment. I'm a laugher, I'm a joker, I'm the person organising the team nights out and all the events and all that sort of stuff. I don't want to change that side of me. And and I was just like, I think everyone's written us off. No one expects anything, and basically just closed the doors and said, no one else comes in. This is our change room, our environment. And yeah, I spoke quite deep about certain things within the thing. Like obviously, like I said, like Guy is a massive. And you know, he was suffering with the cancer and fighting cancer, and he literally was one of the first people to phone me and say, the first person I phoned was the gaffer Kev Wilkin, just to say, are you okay, to get his blessing basically, because I didn't want him to think that I am trying to like go in for a role. It was offered. It's not something that I had an ambition to do. So the first thing I did was phone him to get his blessing, and he was like, yeah, no problem. And then I got a phone call off Guy, who was, like I said, he was fighting a battle, his own personal battle with cancer and stuff. And I thought, fucking hell, like, how amazing is that? Like, he's still wanting to like help me and nurture me and stuff. And yeah, I made a promise to each other, is that he would come down like towards like the final stages and stuff like that, to sort of like come in. And so I just said to the group, I was like, you know, I got one of my closest mates who's like fighting this, and like we just were very like emotional with each other and stuff. And we had boys in the change room that had stuff going on that they wouldn't like speak openly to with the previous management. And I felt like I got a reaction. Like first game against Hereford, I think the fans left and we drew 2-2, and we were the better team. We made some like really bad mistakes, defensive mistakes, but we were the better team. And I looked at that game and I literally was like, do you know what? The fans will walk out of the stadium and be like, I'm happy with that. Because they ran. Like forgetting all like tactics and stuff like that. They had literally 11 players that had just been like reignited with, not confidence, but like just say, go and express yourselves, go and play for each other, that emotional side of sport. And they literally were like flying into tackles, running harder than the man that they were playing against, and proper like full throttle performance. And that was kind of just like the entirety of the thing. We didn't really didn't try and like reinvent the wheel. It was just like, lads, run around, have a go, have no regrets.
Yeah, fair play.
And
kept it simple. And just sort of,
they were like literally rock bottom, the boys, like no confidence, no belief. And I was just like,
another string to your bow though, isn't it? Something that you can add to you say you've done over your industrious career.
I remember James said to me after like the disappointment, because like I'm not sure there's any other scenario in like non-league football history where a team's got promoted without a manager. Yeah. And I didn't think about that once. I had like genuinely in my heart and mind, I was just like, I wanted the lads to like have something and not just be like 7 games of like nothing. And that was kind of like the thing. And then after the club were like, do you want to interview? I said no. And yeah, obviously I brought the gaffer in now to support me and help me. He came to the Hereford game and watched it from the stands. And when he first came into the group, he was like, I'll just stand up in the scaffolding and stuff like that. And I just knew his personality. And eventually I was just like, and I could see he was bubbling. Like he liked the group, he liked the personalities within the group, and like how like just good the lads are. And then kind of just encouraged him to say, you know, he probably had a bit in his mind to say, I quite fancy this. And I kind of just encouraged him to say, well, they've asked me and I'm not interested, so you go and interview. And yeah, that's kind of it.
Fair play. Yeah, I can definitely see that leadership come out of you in that dressing room. And fair play. Let's talk about the car school. Yeah, I've mentioned it a few times.
Madheads.
Obviously, Jimmy, Alex Goodyear, Shane Byrne, you're the final member. Talk about your experiences and just sort of the stories of the car school, and just you obviously mentioned that was one of your memories off the pitch, weren't it?
So I was in charge of the car school.
It was always at your house, weren't it?
They used to drive out of their way to come to my house. And then
you'd always be the last person out. That's what Jimmy said.
Yeah, but I used to fine them.
Yeah,
for not getting to my
he said this.
For not getting to my house on time. So I used to fine them. And,
so was this your own separate pot for car school?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'd fine them. And then we'd travel in together. And honestly, we used to spend a fortune. So we used to go to like McDonald's, Costa, and we'd just be in rounds. Then we'd be in the bar after and we'd be having drinks and all that sort of stuff. But do you know what? A large part of it was like Shane don't drink, so he's a teetotal.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
But he likes to dance. So when we go out and
Yeah.
about, he likes to dance. He likes wearing his little bucket hat thing, whatever
Yeah.
they're called. Jimmy's mad,
Yeah.
which you know, like funniest guy ever.
Yeah.
And Gudge is like me, like we're like the same person,
Yeah.
like mad, little bit of like natural aggression in there. And we'd just whack the music on full blast. We'd go an hour out of our way on the way home to spend more time with each other. We'd do, I don't know if you've heard the McDonald's stories and stuff like that. We'd do ridiculous.
Always got Jimmy to do something, didn't you? It'd always
Do you know
be
the
Jimmy.
best thing about Jimmy is he is literally, there's one thing you can say to him, you can use this at work. If you say to him, you won't do that, before telling him to do anything, he will. But yeah, me and Gudge this year to Jimmy, we played Blythe away last game of season and we looked at each other and went, let's fucking rip his clothes off his back. We've had to just sign it, like blame me, but we've just had to sign a disclaimer at Brackley. So if you like don't like give your kit back in a healthy state, or you lose kit, you're gonna have to pay for it, because the last game of season we've gripped Jimmy up at the back of the bus and we've literally like got him front wedgie, back wedgie, and ripped his trousers, ripped his boxer shorts, ripped his t-shirt off him. He's literally got no clothes, and we've done that to him twice in the season. I'm like, Gudge went away and like honestly he was such a massive miss, because he's such a he's class around the group. And then like Shane's back now as well, and Jimmy's decided to leave, so a little bit frustrated at the car school. But we don't live near each other now, so we've all moved around, so it wouldn't have been a natural car school anyway.
I think we should do one episode in the car with the car school. We're going to have to get like a big 7-seater though.
Maybe you can join in on some of the tasks that we used to have to do, mate. But honestly, it was like...
I'm no stranger to a task, mate.
Gudge had to pretend that he had like leper hands.
Yeah.
Like, and spill his drink inside of the person serving him, and like... like literally,
Jimmy had to fall
over. But we paid, like... It weren't like an empty tray. It was a full tray of like the food that we were intending on eating.
Sundays, weren't it?
He'd stack it in front of everyone, and like I was like, we was that ridiculous. We were like, that's the food we were meant to be eating. We just spent 30 quid on a McDonald's between the four of us, and we've just chucked it all on the floor for a bit of a laugh.
But it was worth it.
Yeah, it was worth it. I just come off Gudge's stag do this summer, to be fair. So it was that was fun.
Yeah, I bet
Let's
it was.
just I just want to end it before we go on some quick fires. Your future of non-league football or football?
For me,
Yeah.
I always said to myself I'd stop playing when I felt like I was letting my teammates down. So the moment that I feel like I'm letting my teammates down and I've played with people who start to tug you in a little bit tighter and a little bit closer because they know that they're slow.
Yeah. What about future, like in terms of even management, coaching?
I haven't got a burning desire to be a manager. Yeah. I said that. Like, I'm not sure. I enjoyed certain aspects of it and I despise certain aspects of it. And I think everyone just thinks because you've been like a captain your whole career. I do think it's a different skill set. And like I look now and I got phone calls when I was doing that role. I got phone calls from like agents and that, and I was just thinking to myself, I'd love to just tell you to fuck off, like, because it's just a different world now. Yeah, so I'd never say never, but I think also when I do stop playing, I probably would have a little break away from football for a period of time. Get the clubs out. But
still plenty of years left though.
Like genuinely at the minute I feel incredible. I said to you before we started this, like I'm still in the top 3 of like the testing at Brackley out of what 14, 15 signed lads. So I still feel incredible, and whilst I still feel I listen to players who say play for as long as you can. And I say I would never play when I feel like I'm letting people down, but equally when I feel like I add value to the team and the group and the club, then I'd be naive to stop playing, because I think you're a long time retired.
And I think like a club like Brackley would want you around for as long as possible as well.
Absolutely.
The personality and who you are.
Even like there's different roles within like groups now and stuff. You don't just have to be like managers and stuff like that. And I'd like to explore even things like that in the future. But because I do think I've got an array of kind of like knowledge and stuff that I can pass down. And one of my biggest things that I've loved doing is like the nurturing side of football.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think there's a lot of elements to me as a person now that would suit management, but I have got no burning desire to be a manager. I think the coaching side of things and the training side of things don't really excite me that much.
Fair play.
Yeah, fair enough.
Quick
mate.
fires.
Let's get into
Let's
it.
do it. Right. Best player you've played with?
Oh yeah.
Ooh, so many. Can I reel off a few?
Yeah,
I'll reel off some people and then I'll come to a single answer.
Go on then.
I'd say during my time at Nuneaton, Carl Storer, Brownie, and Simon Forster.
Yeah.
And I would probably, this is a weird answer, but I'll probably give it to Simon Forster.
Somebody else said it.
Because he genuinely, like, we used to stay away on like overnight stays before games, and Kev Wilkin would come into the group. We'd be doing like a poker tournament, and he'd be like, right lads, I don't want anyone going into the party over there, no one drinking. Fozzie, try and keep it down to 7 pints. And he'd sit there night before a game and have 7 pints, and he'd be the best player.
Yeah.
And I've seen him play left back, left mid, centre half. He's like 5'9", and he's the best player. It's a tough one, I'd say, between him and Brownie, because I've played against Brownie when he was at Telford, and I fucking used to hate playing against him because he was just
Big,
not
gangly.
No, but if he didn't win the header, he'd make sure you didn't. He'd like bump into you, and you'd be going like. He does it every time, and he used to start off the pitch. When you played Telford away, I was like, he's 3 rows in the fucking stand, starting his run up, and then he'd finish 20 yards inside the pitch, and he's got this big leap, and he stays in the air for ages, and you're like, how do you can't grab him or feel him because he's never in touching range. Between them two, I would say Fozzie and Brownie, I would say.
Superb. I don't think you have many, but when you do, favourite takeaway?
Indian.
Go on.
Nice.
What are you having?
I'm everything. Like, I try different. I don't have the same Indian takeaway. So like, I don't know, like
Not spicy food, Gaz.
Yeah, like
good lad.
I'm not. My brother's the opposite of me. Like, he
Yeah,
literally
korma.
moans when he has a korma. No, his korma's a bit hot.
What about favourite TV series, programme? What you like to get stuck into?
Recent, I like Breaking Bad, but Game of Thrones.
Superb.
Class.
Best player you've played against?
I would say before he went like big time, and this is a weird one actually, because when I first played him, I was like, he won't make it, and he came back, and I don't know what they fed him. Like, must have been feeding him horses. Callum Wilson.
Oh, okay.
Wow,
He played for
incredible,
Coventry in a pre-season game, and I've never seen anyone dump Theo Street, like dunk him to the floor,
Really?
and he bodied Theo. And honestly, like, Theo's the world's strongest man, like freak of nature. He bodied him, and he was rapid, strong, could score. His movement was unbelievable. And then like he went to Bournemouth and then went to Newcastle, and Callum Wilson.
Superb.
What about idol growing up?
Alan Shearer.
Oh yeah, shit.
I'm a Newcastle. Yeah, I'm a Newcastle fan. So I wouldn't say like I wasn't someone who was like. That's what I mean. I weren't obsessed with football, so it weren't like watching defenders. Like I want to be.
Yeah, okay.
Like I want to be like him.
Yeah.
And like David Strong's dad, Darryl Strong, used to take us up to St James's Park because we were all Newcastle fans.
Class.
And say Alan Shearer.
Superb. Best manager you've played for?
Oh, that's a tough one now,
That is
isn't
a
it?
tough one.
Put me right on the spot. I'd say Gaffer Kev Wilkin, just based on the fact for the amount of time that I've spent with him. However, I think at my relationship with the Gaffer now, Gav, has the ability to like grow and like evolve into that, because he's kind of got all the attributes that Gaffer used to have in terms of the personal skills. He's very like in touch with his players, really protective of them, wants to nurture, wants to love them. And he's got that kind of like modernised like game strategy and like the coaching side of things and stuff, which is really fun to work with as well. They're like, but then I love working with Marcus as well. But just based on the amount of time I've spent with him and like my career progression, I owe a lot to him. I'd say that.
Fair play. What biggest name in your phone book?
at the minute, in terms of like local lads, I'd probably say Jordan Shipley.
Yeah,
Coventry
nice.
boy.
Yeah.
Big
he's,
cough fan, ain't you, Cookie?
I am, yeah.
Any superstitions?
Nah,
On the
like
pitch, Gaz, no?
I don't have any like left foot, right foot, this, that, and the other. Do you know one thing I'm like makes me anxious before games is lateness, like punctuality.
Yeah.
Like if my car school's late, I'm fuming. Like better be on time.
What about a can of Monster before a game? Has it got to be done?
Yeah, it has to be a Monster. Like I would literally send the kit man to the shop if I forgot my Monster. But we've genuinely talk about car shares. I've left Jimmy at my house and drove off without him because he was 3 minutes late. So he's like, "Oh mate, I'm gonna be like a few more minutes." I'm like, no, you're affecting like my anxiety now. Which is that's the only thing that I've got is I need to have a Monster and my caffeine and punctual. Like I need to be on time and not thrashing around before games. So yeah, I left Jimmy.
What about first live game? Did you ever
It would have been, I went to watch Newcastle against Villa at Villa Park, and then I also went to watch Man United against Newcastle up at St James's Park, Paul Scholes masterclass.
Yeah.
Which was just
No other ground
incredible.
like St James's Park though, is there?
No.
Oh, you're up in the sky and like I actually did it the other day because we were getting, my mum brought a photo album round, and it's got some old photos of me, Strongy and Sam Boucher up in the stands at the very top, and we've got we're probably I don't know how old we are, we're like proper young pups, and it literally they look like ants on the pitch. But yeah, Darryl used to take us up to St James's Park a lot, which is incredible.
Superb. First pair of football boots you ever owned? Are we going back too far? Can you remember?
Nah, mate. So I've had abuse over years because obviously there's been a bit of a progression, but I used to wear black Puma Kings.
Nothing wrong with that, mate.
Nah, and that's always been me. Like it's not. I wouldn't even be fancy enough to wear like Copa Mundials. It was like black Puma Kings. Like even when I was in the Conference Prem with Nuneaton, I wore black Puma Kings with rugby studs in them. And I'll never forget we played Lincoln at home, and this Liverpudlian lad called Sean Newton was like nudging the other lads in the thing, going like, "He's wearing fucking rugby studs in his boots." And I turned around and I was like, "Mate, this is my hobby. Like, how bad are you? Like, you do this for a living and you're playing against someone with £60 Puma Kings with rugby studs in them, and this is your job and you're playing the same level as me." So yeah, I've always been Puma Kings. It's only recently that I've just like started to change a little bit with comfort and stuff over recent years. But black Puma. I had a red pair of naughty Puma Kings as well with a green stocking 4AA kit. I've got a picture of that somewhere.
You have to just send me that, mate. Dish it out.
What about favourite holiday destination?
Ooh, Portugal.
Nice.
Albufeira.
No, that was good. You stag, man. I won't go back there. We used to go a place called Carvoeiro on the Algarve as kids, and we used to go there every single year. So I'd say Portugal. I won't be going back to Albufeira though.
No, I went there for Courtney Balfour stag do. I won't be going back there.
Right, I volleyed a ball on a beach. Probably shouldn't say this, get arrested, but I volleyed a ball on a beach and it's travelled like about 40, 50 yards and it's just gone flying through this restaurant. Avoided everyone. It's gone through the back of the bar, missed all the staff and smashed the entire top row of the bar, all the drinks, and all the lads are like on the beach going like, all you heard was like this ball just travelling and just go, and all the bottles have like smashed. And one of my brother's pals was like, Mikey's going, it was him. It was him.
Mikey McFarlane.
Yeah. And these like two like Portuguese ladies are coming to the front of the restaurant screaming, like trying to chase me down. I'm like, I'm going to have to run here.
Yeah.
That was the second day I could just stag do. I had a great time.
Jesus. Last one. Strap yourselves in. I think this is going to be hard for you. Best team night out.
I know Jimmy said Oswestry.
Yeah,
when we played TNS away, which was just like mental because it's such a bad place.
Yeah.
Like horrendous.
But you like made it a good night.
But it was just incredible.
Is that when you brought each other? Was that the?
No, we've done Blackpool, which was again like it was a charity night out. Me and Goods were like ripping everyone's clothes, and me and Jimmy are going into like clubs and stuff, just the two of us. Everyone else went to get changed. We just stayed out in our clothes. We've done Dublin a couple of times recently, which is just car crash. Obviously at Solihull we did the Marbella trip.
That didn't end too well, though.
That didn't end too well. I've only told half a story with that, mate. You know, the actual nights out and days out were incredible. I love Dublin.
Yeah.
I'm a proper like, I love Cheltenham, I love Dublin. I'm a proper like lads. So when I'm on a day out with like the lads, it's literally like lads like sort of thing. And those are kind of like the days that I look forward to. So me and Jim have been to Cheltenham for what? 15 years in a row, plus excluding COVID.
Yeah, fair play.
You know, getting picked up at 8 o'clock. So I love that. But yeah, I'd say the last 2 years we've been to Dublin and the group's been really good. And I'd say that's the best night. I won't go into details.
No.
Fair play.
Told
fair
off.
play. I can imagine it'd be a lot of time lost. Gaz, thank you so much. It's been
welcome.
Incredible. What a journey. What a career and insight. You know, to come from not an academy side and look at the career you've had now, a very, very successful career, I would say, and still plenty more to go. Let's hope that Brackley can get this promotion.
Fingers crossed, mate. We'll try again for the
We'll try
16th time.
Yeah. But yeah, we wish all the best, mate.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
having me.
Fucking hell, son. What an episode. Super.